Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully get all that our user data, task data, right? Now in this video, I want to get a specific some of the user data. Like if you go to our database, into this database, if you go to that our task, and into this task, like there is one of the ID, and also there is another ID, and there is another one, right? Now I want to get a specific some of the ID data. So if you want to do that work, it's very simple. Like I better copy it, and then I want to paste it. Okay, so here I will actually take one data, so that I make it as a task. So after the task URL, here I want to pass one of the ID, right? Here we have to also pass one of the ID, so I simply added one of the ID, and then that will be as asynchronous, and I pass that a request and then response, and then I take one of the variable as a task. Okay, and then in our await, and that is a task, and with this task model I want to now use another method as a find by ID method. So I simply loaded that find by ID. So with this find by ID, now we have to take our requested ID, right? Requested ID means our this ID. So if you want to get this ID, what exactly we have to do? I have already discussed about that things with you before. That will be as a request, and if you want to access this ID, that is in our parameter, right? So here we have to add that our params, and into these params I want to access this ID. Great. So I simply get our requested ID, and now it should be checking our model with this task model. It should be check it. It should be take that data and take the things with this variable, and then in our return JSON, as success will be as a true, and here I simply pass this data. Okay, so that's all you have to do for get a specific some of the ID task data. Now I want to check it. Click as a save all. Here I simply click as a save all, and now if you go to our postman, into this postman I want to create another API. Okay, here I want to create new request, and I just name it as a fetch one data. Okay, I simply added that as a fetch one data. Now click as a save all. Now there is a new one, and here that will be just like that same, because here also you have to make it as a get method, right? I simply added that get method, and our URL will be as a task and then ID, right? I simply added that our user, and then I make it as a task, and that is our URL. And here after that we have to add one of the ID, right? Here there is one of the ID. So which ID data you want to get? Like if you go to our database, into this database, that is all that our task. Right now I want to get this data. So if you want to get it, that is one of the ID. Better I copy it, and now in our postman I simply paste it. Okay, now if you click as a send, that will be one of the get method. Now that should be get a specific this ID data. You can see it's now successfully get it. There is a success as a true, and this is a new one description, right? I have simply copied this one, and now it successfully get a specific this ID task, right? And you can see it's now successfully get this data. I hope friend it's very much clear to you. And also if you want to do the same things for the user, because there have also a lot of the users, I want to get a specific some of the user data. If you want to do that work, first of all, better I copy it. Okay, copy this one, and then I paste it. Simple work we have to do. I make it as a just user, and then that will be as a user, and also here we have to pass that our ID. I simply pass this ID with our user model. Now we have to load our find by ID, right? So that will be the find by ID. So I simply, if you want to access it, that will be in our request, and then the params, that is a params, and then ID. I simply take this ID, take the things with this variable. Now in our return JSON, I simply load that our user. Great. So then that's all you have to do. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now click as a save all. I click as a save all. Now I want to create another new one. I create another new request. I make it as a fetch one for user or just user. Okay, I make it as a fetch one user. Now click as a save it. Now everything will be just like that same. Better I copy this one, and now that is our new one. New one is this fetch one user. I simply paste it. That will be one of the get method. Here I will name it. I name it as user, and then the ID, right? I want to get this ID like in our user as a kazi@gmail.com. That is one of the ID. I simply copy this ID, and now in our postman, after that user, I simply add that ID. Now click as a send. Now that should be get one data. You can see it's now successfully get one data as a kazi@gmail.com. With this ID, it's now successfully get this data. If you want to get new one, like as a aryan@gmail.com, another one, I copy it, and then here if you paste it, now that should be get our another one. Okay, now that should be get our another ID. Now click send. Yes, you can see it's now successfully get our this ID related all that user data. How much easily you can do that work, friend? I hope it's very much clear to you. So that is for the get a specific some of the ID tasks. It gets a specific some of the user ID. Okay. In our next video, I will discuss about how can update some of the data. Okay. How can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.